Donald Trump believed he could silence Jasmine Crockett on live television, but what followed left him embarrassed and exiting the stage. This was the moment Jasmine Crockett demonstrated what real leadership truly looks like. The studio lights gleam over a polished table centered on the stage. The live broadcast has just begun, and millions of viewers across the nation are tuned in. The moderator's tone is calm, yet firm, as he welcomes the audience. "Tonight," he says, "we're addressing the real issues Americans face daily: the rising cost of living, a broken healthcare system, and the pursuit of justice for all." His words linger, resonating with the audience. These aren't empty slogans. They reflect the daily struggles of millions of families. Jasmine Crockett sits poised on one side of the table, composed and attentive. The seriousness of the moment is visible on her face. She knows how many people depend on her to voice their concerns. When the moderator turns to her, the room grows still. Jasmine leans forward slightly, hands on the table. Her voice is calm, steady, and warm, yet it carries unmistakable conviction. She begins with the economy. "Across the nation," she says, "parents work multiple jobs and still struggle to keep food on the table. Seniors who spent their lives working can't afford the medicine they need. People aren't afraid of hard work. They're afraid that even hard work isn't enough anymore." The camera sweeps across the audience, capturing quiet nods and thoughtful faces. Her words seem to settle heavily in the room. Jasmine transitions to healthcare, her tone sharpening. "No one," she says, "should have to choose between taking their child to the doctor and paying the electric bill. Yet that's the reality, and every delay in action costs lives." The silence that follows is palpable. The moderator glances around, surprised by how completely the room has fallen quiet. Then Jasmine moves to her final point: justice. "When we talk about justice," she says, "we're not just talking about courts. We're talking about fairness everywhere, in workplaces, schools, and neighborhoods. People are tired of feeling like the system isn't built for them. They want leaders who fight for ordinary citizens, not just the powerful." Her voice grows firmer. "That's why we're here tonight. Not to trade insults, but to discuss how to truly solve these problems." Her words land decisively. She isn't there for show. For a moment, the studio feels unified. Even the camera framing softens, positioning Jasmine as a voice of reason. The audience is visibly engaged, nodding, leaning forward, listening. It feels like the start of a genuine solution-focused discussion. Then a faint sound breaks the calm. A microphone shifts. Donald Trump, seated across from Jasmine, leans forward. He's been mostly silent, but everyone knows that when he speaks, the room changes. The atmosphere tightens. Viewers at home can sense it too. That electric pause before confrontation. Trump clears his throat, regaining his trademark confidence. With a sharp remark, he slices through the calm tone Jasmine established. The studio stills. Jasmine has just finished addressing the economy, healthcare, and justice, and the audience remains captivated until the interruption. Trump leans forward, tapping his fingers on the table, his expression half smirk, half glare. He waits deliberately, the kind of pause that heightens tension. Then he speaks. "You know nothing about America's problems," he says with a short, mocking laugh, waving dismissively at her. The sound cuts through the room. It's not only the words, it's the condescension in his tone, the air of dominance that claims control of the stage. Jasmine blinks but stays still. The moderator hesitates, unsure whether to intervene. The audience murmurs, a mix of surprise and discomfort. Trump presses on. "Tell me," he says, pointing at her. "Are you really from America or from Africa?" The words hang heavy in the air. For a moment, there's complete silence. Even the cameras seem unsure where to turn. Then comes the collective reaction. Gasps, murmurs, disbelief. The moderator looks stunned, his hand frozen mid-motion. Trump, however, leans back with a smug expression, convinced he's landed a decisive blow. He glances toward the audience, expecting applause, but none comes. The air feels thick and uneasy. Jasmine's face remains calm, though her eyes flash with restrained fire. She doesn't speak immediately. Instead, she lets the silence linger, forcing Trump to sit in the weight of his own words. When he senses the stillness, he fills it with more talk. "People like you," he continues, keep talking about justice in the economy, but you don't understand America the way I do. I built businesses. I created jobs. I made this country strong. His tone grows louder, his gestures sharper. You just want to make me look bad because you have nothing real to say. The debate has shifted. It's no longer about policy, but about respect. The camera captures the audience again, faces tense and focused, waiting for Jasmine's response. This is the moment that could break anyone's composure. A moment that could easily end in shouting or walking off. But Jasmine doesn't move. She sits back, folds her hands, and takes a measured breath. Trump keeps talking, his words sharp and rapid, but now it's her composure that commands attention. Then she looks at him. A calm, steady gaze that draws the room back into silence. Everyone knows something is about to change. The moderator senses it and stays quiet. The cameras focus in, one on Jasmine, one on Trump. The debate is no longer just political, it's personal. The air is tense and still. Trump sits back, arms crossed, a faint smirk on his face, certain he's won the exchange. But Jasmine doesn't rush. Her response is coming, and the tone of the entire night is about to shift. She doesn't raise her voice or wave her hands. Instead, she takes a slow, steady breath and leans forward slightly. The microphone captures the sound, adding weight to the moment. Her gaze fixes on Trump, not with anger, but with something calmer and more precise. In a voice so controlled it almost feels like a whisper to the entire nation, she asks, "Mr. President, who is your real wife, Ivanka or Melania?" The studio falls into absolute silence. The crowd freezes. Even the moderator stops mid-breath. The words cut sharply through the air. They aren't loud, but they strike with impact. Trump's smirk disappears instantly. His eyes widen, then narrow. For a brief moment, he's motionless, speechless. Jasmine maintains her gaze, unwavering. Cameras zoom in on Trump's face, capturing every flicker. Shock, confusion, then anger. The audience stirs. A few gasps, a nervous laugh, whispers ripple through the room. "Did she really just say that?" Someone murmurs. Trump forces a laugh. It sounds hollow. "That's ridiculous," he says, brushing the comment aside with a wave. But Jasmine doesn't stop. Her voice stays calm, but her tone sharpens. "You made it personal first," she says. "You questioned me. But the American people deserve honesty. When you talk about family values, what exactly do you mean?" The crowd reacts. Scattered applause breaks out. A few quiet cheers. Trump's face flushes red, his jaw tightening. He leans forward, trying to seize control. "This is disgusting," he snaps. "You should be ashamed." Jasmine remains composed, hands folded. "You called me out," she replies gently. "I'm only asking what many Americans have been wondering. If we're talking about respect, let's be real about it." The dynamic shifts. Trump searches for a retort, but the moment has turned. The energy in the room moves toward Jasmine. The audience senses it. She now commands the stage without ever raising her voice. The moderator exhales, glancing towards a camera, knowing this exchange will be replayed endlessly. Trump mutters about below-the-belt questions, but Jasmine says nothing. Her silence is more powerful than any argument. It's clear she's not only defended herself, but reversed the entire confrontation. The silence lingers. Trump's lips press tight, his expression tense. For a second, it seems he'll laugh it off, but then his anger erupts. "That's a disgusting question," he shouts, slamming his hand on the table. The impact makes the audience flinch. "You've gone too far," he continues, pointing at Jasmine. She doesn't move. Calm, composed. Trump stands now, voice booming, while she remains seated. The moderator starts to intervene, then stops. This isn't an ordinary debate anymore. It's raw and unpredictable. Trump turns to the crowd, seeking support. "You all saw it. She attacked me with a personal question. No one's ever treated a president like this." But the response isn't what he expects. A few claps, then silence. Some even cheer softly for Jasmine. Trump's face deepens in color. "You think this is funny? It's disgraceful." Jasmine finally responds, voice low but resonant. "You began with a personal attack, Mr. President. I stayed on the issues. You made it personal first." The audience erupts, clapping, cheering, whistling. The balance has completely flipped. Trump shakes his head furiously, trying to speak, but the noise drowns him out. Frustrated, he rips off his microphone. "I'm done with this," he declares, slamming it on the table before storming off stage. Cameras follow him as he leaves, muttering to his aides. The audience buzzes, some shocked, others whispering or laughing nervously. Jasmine hasn't moved. She watches him go, then turns back to the moderator and camera. The moderator looks stunned, glancing at the empty chair beside her. The president has just walked off a live broadcast. The camera pans across the audience, some smiling, others shaking their heads in disbelief. The tension that filled the room now feels transformed. Something monumental has just unfolded. When the noise finally fades, Jasmine speaks, softly, but with conviction. This is exactly why we need leaders who focus on real issues, not personal attacks. This isn't a game. People's lives depend on leadership. The room grows still, not tense, but respectful. The empty chair, the fallen microphone, symbols of what just happened. The atmosphere feels heavier, as if everyone recognizes the significance of the moment. Jasmine sits silently for a beat, then leans toward the camera. "America," she says steadily, eyes fixed forward. "This was never supposed to be about me, or about him. It's about you." Her words fall slowly, each one deliberate. When our conversations turn into insults, when we trade personal attacks, we lose sight of what really matters. You. The people working long hours, caring for families, trying to make ends meet. Her tone deepens with sincerity. "I didn't come here to fight. I came to talk about reality, people living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to afford medicine and demanding justice for all, not just a few." She pauses, letting her words settle. "Yes, I asked a hard question, but it was about integrity. Leadership isn't about who shouts the loudest or hits the hardest. It's about accountability, about being an example for the next generation, so they grow up believing in honesty, fairness, and respect." Her voice stays strong but gentle. "You deserve leaders who talk about solutions, not distractions. Leaders who face tough questions instead of walking away. Leaders who put the people first, not their ego." Applause begins softly, then builds until it fills the studio. Jasmine waits for it to quiet before concluding. Donald Trump thought he could silence Jasmine Crockett on live television. Instead, she left him speechless and walking out. This was the night Jasmine Crockett showed the nation what real leadership looks like. Bright lights shine on a sleek stage. Millions are watching across the country. The moderator welcomes viewers. Tonight, we're addressing the issues Americans face daily: the rising cost of living, a broken healthcare system, and the pursuit of justice for all. Jasmine Crockett sits poised and focused. The seriousness of the discussion is written on her face. She knows millions depend on her voice to reflect their struggles. When the moderator turns to her, the room quiets. Jasmine leans forward, hands resting on the table. Her tone is calm and steady but filled with purpose. "Across this country," she begins, "parents are working 2, even 3 jobs, and still struggling to put food on the table. Seniors who've spent their lives working can't afford their medication. People aren't afraid of hard work. They're afraid that hard work no longer guarantees stability." The camera pans to the audience, many nodding, some with emotion in their eyes. The room is quiet, the air heavy with the weight of Jasmine's words. She moves on to healthcare, her tone turning sharper, more urgent. "No one," she says, "should have to decide between taking their child to the doctor or paying the electricity bill. Yet, that's exactly what's happening. Every delay in action means more suffering, even death." A pause follows. The silence deepens. The moderator looks almost startled by the stillness in the room. Jasmine then addresses her final topic: justice. Justice, she explains, isn't just about courtrooms. It's about fairness in every part of life. At work, in schools, and across neighborhoods, people feel the system isn't built for them. They're tired and want leaders who fight for everyone, not just the powerful. Her voice grows firm. "That's why we're here tonight," she says. "Not to trade insults or throw slogans, but to figure out how to truly fix these problems." Her words land with impact. It's clear she's not there for show. For a moment, the entire studio seems united. Even the cameras adjust, framing her as the voice of reason. The audience looks engaged, nodding, leaning forward. It feels like a real conversation about real change is about to begin. Then, a microphone shifts. The sound breaks the stillness. Across the table, Donald Trump leans forward. He hasn't said much yet, but everyone knows when he does. The room shifts. The atmosphere tightens. Even viewers at home can sense it, that tension right before something happens. Trump clears his throat, his signature confidence filling the space again. And with one pointed comment, he slices through the calm Jasmine had built. Jasmine has just finished discussing the economy, healthcare, and justice. The audience hangs on every word. Then comes the shift. Trump's hand taps lightly on the table, a smirk forming as he holds the pause just long enough to command attention. "You know nothing about America's issues," he says sharply, waving his hand dismissively. The sound echoes across the studio. It's not just the words, it's his tone. Dismissive, condescending, the kind that claims control of the room. Jasmine doesn't move. The moderator shifts uneasily. The audience murmurs softly, a mix of gasps and whispers, but Trump isn't done. He leans in closer, his voice louder now. "Tell me something," he says, pointing a finger toward Jasmine. "Are you really from America or Africa?" The room freezes. The words hang like smoke. Cameras hesitate, unsure where to turn. Then a collective reaction. Gasps, whispers, disbelief. The moderator looks stunned. Trump leans back, appearing satisfied, expecting laughter or applause. But none comes. The silence feels heavy. Jasmine's face stays calm, but her eyes flash. She doesn't rush to speak. Instead, she lets the silence linger. Trump fills it again, pressing on. "People like you talk about justice and the economy," he says. "But you don't understand America like I do. I built businesses. I created jobs. I'm the reason this country is strong." He points again, his tone rising. "You're just trying to make me look bad because you've got nothing real to say." It's no longer about policy. It's personal. Questioning her place, her right to speak. The camera pans to the audience. Everyone is waiting to see how she'll respond. This is the kind of moment that breaks composure. But Jasmine doesn't waver. She sits back, hands folded, taking a steady breath. Trump continues, words hitting like punches, but her calm begins to draw the focus. Then she looks at him. A long, steady gaze that quiets the room once more. The moderator stays silent. Cameras zoom in. One on Jasmine, one on Trump. The debate has turned into a face-off. Trump leans back, confident he's won this round. Jasmine waits. Then she inhales quietly, the mic catching the sound, heightening the tension. Her eyes stay locked on him. Not angry, but unshakably calm. Then, in a low, measured voice, she asks, "Mr. President, who is your real wife, Ivanka or Melania?" The room freezes. The audience is stunned. Even the moderator goes still. The words aren't loud, but they land like a thunderclap. Trump's smirk vanishes. His eyes widen, then narrow. For a second, he says nothing. Jasmine's gaze doesn't move. The cameras catch everything. The flicker of shock, confusion, and anger crossing Trump's face. The audience stirs, gasps, nervous laughter, whispers. "Did she just say that?" Trump finally forces a laugh, hollow and uneasy. "That's ridiculous," he says, waving his hand dismissively. But Jasmine doesn't back off. Her tone remains calm, her words deliberate. "You made it personal," she says. "You questioned where I come from. The American people deserve to know. When you talk about family values, what exactly do you mean?" The reaction is instant. Some clap softly. Others cheer under their breath. Trump's face reddens. "This is disgusting," he snaps. "You should be ashamed." Jasmine stays composed. "You called me out," she says quietly. "I'm only asking what many Americans have wondered for years. If we're talking about respect, let's be honest. The power has shifted. The audience feels it. Trump looks for a comeback, but it's too late. The room belongs to Jasmine now. She's taken control, not with volume, but composure." The moderator finally exhales, sensing this is a moment that will replay endlessly. Trump mutters about low blows, but Jasmine doesn't respond. Her silence says everything. In that moment, it's clear. Jasmine Crockett hasn't just defended herself. She's changed the tone of the entire debate. The silence lingers. Trump's expression hardens, and for a brief second, he looks like he might brush it off. But then his composure cracks. That night, Donald Trump thought he could shut Jasmine Crockett down on live TV. Instead, what followed left him speechless and walking off the stage. It became the moment Jasmine Crockett showed the nation what calm, focused leadership truly looks like. The bright studio lights gleam on the stage's polished table. Millions are watching live. The moderator greets the audience with a steady tone. Tonight, we focus on real issues Americans face: the rising cost of living, broken health care, and justice for all. These aren't just headlines. They're daily struggles for millions. Jasmine Crockett sits poised, collected, fully aware of the expectations on her shoulders. When the moderator turns to her, the room goes silent. She begins with the economy. Across this country, she says, parents work 2, sometimes 3 jobs just to put food on the table. Seniors who've worked their whole lives still can't afford their medicine. People aren't afraid of hard work. They're afraid that hard work no longer guarantees stability. The audience listens, nodding quietly. You can feel the weight of her words. Jasmine moves to healthcare. No one should have to choose between taking their child to the doctor or paying the light bill, she says. But that's the reality for too many. Every delay costs lives. The room stills once more. The moderator looks thoughtful. Then Jasmine speaks on justice, not just legal justice, but fairness everywhere, in schools, workplaces, neighborhoods. People are tired of feeling forgotten, she says. They want leaders who fight for everyone, not just the powerful. Her voice steadies. That's why we're here, to fix what's broken, not trade insults. The audience leans in, the air charged with sincerity. And just as the conversation seems ready to turn toward real solutions, the microphone shifts again. Donald Trump leans forward and the energy changes.